Hi there, and welcome to today's episode of How the Game Was Won. I must admit that I wasn't expecting to be doing a How the Game Was Won episode on the game number 2 of the FIDE World Cup being played in Baku for 2015, with the final between Peter Svidler and Sergey Karjakin. But stranger things have happened, I suppose, and a game that was looking like heading towards a dead draw suddenly became a decisive result. And as far as today's game is concerned, perhaps it would be not such a good idea to be calling it How the Game Was Won, but rather How the Game Was Lost. But with that in mind, let's have a look at how things were unpacked. This is the final of the FIDE World Cup, taking place in Baku, Azerbaijan, and we've got Sergey Karjakin with the white pieces and Peter Svidler with the black pieces. And the game was played on the 2nd of October 2015. So without further ado, let's see how things played themselves out. And we've got E4, E5, Nf3 Nc6, Bishop B5 A6, Bishop A4. Obviously, we've got the Spanish game taking place over here, or Roy Lopez, and we're heading into the Braille variation with Rook E1, B5, Bishop B3, castles C3, D6, H3, Knight B8. As I mentioned, the Braille system, which is an ultra solid defense, and that's all that Svidler really needs. He won yesterday with the white pieces, and all he needs to do is hold Sergey Karjakin with a super solid defense, and that's all he needs to be able to draw the game. And for him, a draw will be an excellent result, bearing in mind that the classical time controls, the final of the World Cup is a match of 4 games, and with a 1-0 lead heading into game number 2, all he needs is to hold something super solid and get the draw. So the game continues with D4, Knight Bd7, Knight Bd2, Bishop B7, Bishop C2 Rb8, A4, Bishop F8, Bishop D3 C6, Queen C2. And again, we're looking at completely solid Rook C8, 8xb5, 8xb5, b4, and Svidler uncorks the novelty here of c5, bearing in mind that Queen c7, Bishop b2, Rook a8 was played between Karjakin and world champion Carlsen in 2013 should I say, and that took place in Norway. And in that game, with this combination, Carlsen managed to win the game with black, and although at that stage he wasn't the world champion yet, but became so shortly thereafter. But he had the novelty of c5, b takes c5, e takes d4, c6. For instance, instead of c6, the combination of c takes d4, d takes c5, queen b1, c4 starts looking dangerous. Or instead of c4, you can have c takes d4, e5, knight d5, bishop h7, and that also starts looking really dangerous. But after c4, for instance, you could do queen takes b5, bishop c6, queen c4, Bishop e4, Queen b3, Knight c5, d takes, Queen takes, and now this is looking decidedly drawish, and bearing in mind that's also Svidler was needing a draw would be perfectly fine. Then, but now after c6, Svidler sat down and thought for a full half hour, because obviously he had a good number of options. For instance, b takes c6, knight takes d4, and b4 could be a decent option, bearing in mind that he's going for the draw and it looks really drawish. But after half an hour, I think Svidler plays d takes c3, which gave you c takes b7, c takes d2, queen takes d2. Again, we've got a position that's heading decidedly drawish, which is all Svidler is needing. Rook b8, bishop b5, queen b6, rook b1, queen takes on b7, bishop d3, queen a8, rook takes on b8, rook takes on b8, bishop d2. Now, white has got the pair of bishops and a slightly better structure, which gives them a tiny edge, but black's pieces are active. They're supporting each other, and the overly simplified character of the position, winning is going to be incredibly difficult for Karjakin, and holding the position for a draw is conversely relatively easy for a player of Svidler's abilities. We continue with queen a2, rook e2, h6, queen c1, queen b3, bishop c4, queen d7, queen d1. Instead of queen d1, for instance, e5, d takes e5, knight takes e5, knight takes e5, bishop e5, queen b3, is also going absolutely nowhere and looking decidedly drawish. So we had queen d1, played rook e8, bishop takes f6, knight takes f6, e5, d takes e5, knight e5. Knight taking on e5 is trying to force some sort of attack, targeting specifically the f7 square, but really there's nothing really happening there, and Svidler has the f7 square more than adequately covered. We continue with rook e7, queen d4, knight d7, knight takes on f7, and anything else besides the knight takes on f7 it essentially leads to a draw, which is where we're heading distinctly right now at the moment. Rook f7, rook b2, queen c6. Again, everything right at the moment is heading towards a dead draw, with the exception of what Sergey Karjakin decided to play for his 37th move, and that's by playing rook b5. And with rook b5, all that happens is black plays king h8, and now what's happening is the white bishop is simply overloaded and can't do anything, which then effectively leads to a straight piece loss. For instance, looking at it, 38, say bishop takes on f7, queen takes on b5, which is which, as I mentioned, is just the straight piece down. Bishop e8, queen b1, king h2, queen b8, and it's literally a piece down. And seeing that Svidler only needs to draw and Karjakin's a piece down, his chances of winning the game are incredibly slight. So instead of continuing with that, which would led into a piece down, what does he do? He goes and plays rook d5, and I've got absolutely no idea what was going on in Karjakin's head as far as that's concerned, because all that happens is it allows knight b6, and what's happening is that Karjakin is now losing the exchange, in addition to the bishop that he is the effective piece that he's already down a piece, and now he's about to lose the exchange on top of the piece that he's on. Now, bearing in mind that if you're down a piece and then you lose the exchange, you effectively become a rook down, which is a completely hopeless situation, and two blunders in a row of such catastrophic nature lead immediately to Karjakin resigning the game and he's now 2-0 down in the game, and bearing in mind that tomorrow Svidler plays with the white pieces. And all he needs is a draw tomorrow with the white pieces, and he becomes World Cup champion. So that, my friends, is how the game was won, or in this specific case, how the game was lost. Feel free to post any comments, questions, criticisms that you may have in the comment section down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you like this type of content, thumbs down if not, that way I know what to be putting out in the future. Share this out amongst your close friends, and if you're watching in YouTube, just below the screen is a big red subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button, that way you stay subscribed to my channel for all the new content that comes out on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis. Stay safe out there and stay carved up for the win. Until next time for another episode of How the Game Was Won.